December 18th, 2025. Glamour magazine just announced their holiday cover stars, and the internet had a collective meltdown. Nick and Olandria, that couple from Love Island that everyone swore was fake, just landed one of the biggest magazine covers of the year. And here's the kicker. This happened the same week another couple from their season, the ones everybody thought had it all figured out, announced they broke up. I'm talking about Ace and Chelley. The timing alone is wild. But when you dig into what actually happened behind the scenes, the receipts, the shade, and how these two couples ended up in completely opposite places, it's a story that needs to be told. Before we get into this, hit that subscribe button and that like button because we're breaking down all the Love Island Season 7 aftermath drama, and trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. So let's start with the moment that broke the internet. Glamour magazine, and we're talking about a major fashion publication, puts Nick and Olandria on their December cover. The headline? The Year of Nicolandria. Not a year, not their year, but the year. That's the kind of declaration you make when you're acknowledging something bigger than just another reality TV couple.
Merry f***ing Christmas, bitch! It's the fact that I literally sound and look dead because I barely got any sleep. I was up, but I wake up to this! Nick Olandria on the cover of Glamour, y'all.
Now, this didn't come out of nowhere. Back in November, when Nick and Olandria showed up at the 2025 Glamour Women of the Year Awards, fans went absolutely crazy. They flooded Glamour's social media with demands to put this couple on the cover. The hashtag started trending. Comments on every single Glamour post asking for a Nicolandria feature. And Glamour actually listened, calling this cover a gift for the holiday season.
I love how private Nicolandria can be while still appeasing us with things like this fabulous shoot with Glamour. When I saw the photos, I had to read the cover story. That privacy was a big talking point in the article. Nicolandria specifically talks about the shock that was coming out of the villa and realizing that so many people had had their eyes on you. I feel like we as the public understood this as she was coming back online. She definitely didn't seem like she wanted to immediately open her life. She just shares that a friend set up an email address for her to receive all her brand deals while she was on Love Island, and when she got back, she did not want to look at it right away. It took her over a month, she says, to get a team together. She interviewed with 15 different agencies. She says that she was one of the last Islanders to get a team together. It sounds like this was a combination of wanting to make sure that she was working with the right people, but also getting over that initial shock of having had the whole world watching you every day for 6 weeks. She shared that before they go out together, they have a discussion about if they will be taking photos with people, and that's a boundary they have set. They also spoke about the value of being able to lean on one another through this experience and navigating this last 6 months. They have these mental health check-ins that they do with one another, and it sounds like they are very good about reminding each other about the boundaries that they said that they would like to have. They got out of the villa. Olandria says that there was this pressure to maintain that contact with people that had been watching them all summer. Nick was giving updates, it sounds like primarily on Snapchat, and then at some point they were just we don't need to be doing this. We actually don't need to be inviting the world into our lives. She also makes a comment that people will say to her that she doesn't post enough, and she says, yeah, I don't care to. And I love that when we see these people, it is intentional. They don't need to open up their relationship to the world anymore. And above all else, what I got from this interview is not only is she exactly where she wants to be, she is so firm in who she is, but he is her #1 supporter.
The photos are stunning, professional, elevated, not your typical reality TV couple content. But what really stands out is the interview that came with it. These two opened up about the mental toll of sudden fame, how they've had to set serious boundaries, and the real challenges of building a relationship while the whole world watches. Olandria talked about being one of the last Islanders to even get management because she was so overwhelmed when she got her phone back after the show. She said a friend set up an email address for her to receive all her brand deals while she was on Love Island, and when she got back, she didn't want to look at it right away. It took her over a month to get a team together. She interviewed with 15 different agencies before finding the right fit. Think about that. While other Islanders were jumping at the first management offer, Olandria was taking her time, making sure she worked with the right people. That's not someone chasing clout. That's someone being intentional about their career and their future. And the way she described coming out of the villa, realizing that so many people had their eyes on you for 6 weeks straight, that shock of sudden visibility, it really humanized what these reality TV people go through. We watch them on our screens, we comment on their relationships, but we don't always think about what it's like to have millions of strangers analyzing your every move. Before we get into all the drama and the doubters, let's talk about where Nick and Olandria were before Love Island, because context matters here. Olandria was selling elevators in Houston with a corporate 9-to-5 job. She'd been single for 5 years. According to her, the dating pool in Houston wasn't great, so she thought, why not try Love Island? She wasn't some influencer looking for more fame. She was a regular person with a regular job taking a chance on reality TV. Nick was modeling in Japan with no clear future plan. He was just going with the flow, living day to day, not really thinking about what came next. These were two people in wildly different places geographically and in their lives, with no clear path forward. 6 months ago, these were just two regular people doing regular things. Now, they're closing out the year as Glamour cover stars with a growing fan base, fashion bookings, and what appears to be a genuinely solid relationship. That transformation alone is remarkable, but what makes it even more impressive is that they did it while everyone was telling them their relationship wasn't real. Let's go back to how Nick and Olandria actually got together, because this is where the doubt started. During Casa Amor, there was this twist where basically they had to couple up or leave the island. It wasn't this organic, romantic moment. It was a strategic decision made under pressure. Nick and Olandria chose each other, but a lot of viewers saw it as a game move, not a genuine connection. And to be fair, it didn't look like a typical Love Island love story. There wasn't that instant chemistry, that explosive attraction that makes for good television. They were clearly friends first, feeling each other out, trying to figure out if there was something more there. For viewers who wanted drama and passion, it was kind of boring to watch. That's where the skepticism started. People on social media were saying they only coupled up to stay on the show. They were calling it a friendship couple, not a romantic couple. The doubt was there from the very beginning, and it never really went away, even as Nick and Olandria got closer throughout the season. They finished in second place. Amaya and Brian won the $100,000 prize. And even then, people were saying Nick and Olandria only made it that far because they played the game well, not because their relationship was real. But here's what makes this Glamour cover such a victory. The doubt didn't stop when the show ended. If anything, it got worse. After the reunion, Ace Green did an interview with Speedy Morman where he basically questioned whether Nick and Olandria's relationship was authentic. Now, Ace was supposedly close friends with them. He was coupled with Chelley, and they all hung out together during the show. So for him to go on a podcast and throw shade at their relationship, that felt like a betrayal. Then Ace didn't come right out and say their relationship was fake, but he threw enough doubt to make people question it. He implied things weren't what they seemed. He suggested there was more going on behind the scenes. The implication was clear, even if he didn't say it directly. The internet absolutely dragged him for that interview. Fans were furious. They called him jealous, petty, a hater. Even Nick Viall from The Bachelor, who's usually pretty measured and doesn't get involved in Love Island drama, called Ace out publicly. Nick Viall said Ace was being petty and jealous, and when Bachelor Nation is defending a Love Island couple against one of their own castmates, that tells you how badly Ace misjudged the situation. But the damage was done. Ace's interview gave fuel to all the doubters who were already questioning Nick and Olandria. Reddit threads started popping up, analyzing their every interaction. People were going through their Instagram posts looking for evidence. Twitter debates about their body language. Comments saying they could tell Nick and Olandria weren't really into each other. It was constant, and it was exhausting for them to deal with. Olandria said in the Glamour interview that people started to nitpick them. Now that they were actually having to live with it and hear about it, she realized maybe they didn't need to share as much anymore because people would find the smallest little thing and turn it into a big discourse all over social media. Think about what that's like. You're trying to build a real relationship, and thousands of strangers are publicly debating whether your feelings are genuine. Every photo you post gets analyzed. Every caption gets dissected. People are looking for proof that you're faking it. That level of scrutiny would destroy most relationships, real or not. Now, remember Ace questioning other people's relationships? Let's talk about karma, because she really is undefeated, and this is where the story gets poetic. December 12th, 2025. 6 days before the Glamour cover drops, Chelley goes on the SiriusXM's Page 6 radio, and she announces that she and Ace have officially broken up.
Damn, not Chelley Ace. Not Chelley and Ace broke up. And before y'all come over here doing too much, not too much on them, because I still love and respect them both as individuals. So just make sure we keep it, you know what I'm saying, copacetic. But why I had to find out on the internet? Why y'all ain't call me and tell me before y'all drop the news on the interweb? We supposed to be family. But Chelley just did this interview letting the world know that they're no longer together.
So Ace and I actually decided to part ways.
Wait,
Yes.
oh my God, did you announce that?
No.
Oh my God, Chelley, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, don't, it's okay. Please don't. Like, it's okay.
How are you feeling?
I mean, it really was a tough decision, like, for the both of us, and like, very hard to decide. But, you know, when you love someone, sometimes loving someone means letting go. So I think we just got to that decision.
And
that
also
that
getting
was
to a
best.
point where, because you both have love for each other, to end it
Exactly.
before that ends, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it came from like a mutual level of respect.
A mutual level of respect and understanding that, you know, we wanted this to work, but sometimes things don't work. Couples go through things that are very challenging, and sometimes the best thing to do is just, you know, make a decision that needs to be made. So.
Now, she emphasized several times in that interview that it was a mutual decision. So please don't come on here with y'all raggedy think pieces that don't make no sense, because she already told y'all, and y'all know how I give it up behind my people from Love Island, okay? So please. But together or not, I'm not gonna lie, Chelley Ace is still a moment. Like, it's a moment that went down in history that nobody's ever gonna forget. And to be honest, they both have made names for themselves individually. So either way, I'm really happy for them. I'm really proud of them for sticking it out and for seeing what could be. But that's the point of this show. But what y'all not about to do is discredit how they had the world going crazy for some Chelley Ace, okay? Y'all not gonna play with them. And what y'all also not about to do is discredit the impact that they each individually are making in pop culture.
The host was clearly caught off guard. They hadn't announced it publicly yet, but Chelley confirmed it right there on the radio. She said, "Ace and I actually decided to part ways." And then she explained that sometimes when you love someone, loving them means letting go. She emphasized multiple times that it was a mutual decision based on respect and understanding. Let that sink in for a second. The guy who questioned whether Nick and Olandria were real couldn't even keep his own relationship together through the end of the year. Chelley and Ace lasted approximately 5 months after leaving Fiji before calling it quits. They didn't make it to Christmas. They barely made it past Thanksgiving. And here's the thing. Chelley and Ace came into the villa already knowing each other. They had this whole narrative about fate bringing them back together. They left the show on day 30 claiming to be exclusive and in love. They didn't make their relationship official until late September in St. Lucia. So they had roughly 6 months total, with only about 2.5 months as an official couple before breaking up. Compare that to Nick and Olandria, who were supposedly the fake couple, the strategic pairing, the friendship that wasn't really romantic. They're still together, still supporting each other, still building something real. To be fair to Chelley, she handled the announcement with complete class. She didn't air out any dirty laundry. She didn't throw Ace under the bus. She didn't get petty or mean. She was mature about it, talking about focusing on healing and growth for herself while wishing Ace the best. That takes real emotional intelligence, especially when you're dealing with a public breakup. And honestly, Chelley is going to be fine. She's gorgeous, she's smart, she worked as a day trader in Florida, which requires serious analytical skills. She's only 27 years old with her whole life ahead of her. Based on how she handled this breakup, she has the kind of emotional maturity that leads to success. She's going to land on her feet. But the irony is undeniable. While Ace was out here questioning other couples, his own relationship was falling apart. Meanwhile, Nick and Olandria were quietly building something real, setting boundaries, supporting each other's individual careers, and landing magazine covers. So let's talk about what Nick and Olandria's relationship actually looks like, because this is where you see the difference between real and performative. First off, they don't even live together. Nick is in Jacksonville, Florida, still living with his parents. He's 24 years old and joked in the Glamour interview about looking to move out. Olandria is in Houston. They're doing long distance while both of them build their individual careers. For doubters, this might seem like proof the relationship isn't serious. If they were really in love, wouldn't they move in together? Wouldn't they want to be in the same city? But actually, when you think about it, this makes their relationship more impressive, not less. Long-distance relationships are hard under normal circumstances. Now add in newfound fame, constant travel for work, public scrutiny, social media pressure, and the fact that they're both building careers as influencers. That's a lot of stress, The fact that they're maintaining their relationship through all of that shows genuine commitment. Olandria explained their thinking in the Glamour interview, and it was so refreshingly practical. She said, being from the Deep South, it's hard to just jump to the West Coast for influencer life. Los Angeles or New York might make sense for work, but they don't feel like home. And for tax purposes, it doesn't make financial sense either. That's such a realistic, mature approach to decision-making. They're not making impulsive choices just to look more couple-like to the public. They're not forcing themselves to live together before they're ready just to prove something to strangers on the internet. They're making smart choices about their individual lives while maintaining their relationship. That's what actual adults in actual relationships do. And they've developed these systems to protect their relationship and their mental health. Before they go out together, they have a conversation about whether they're taking photos with fans that day. Sometimes Nick will ask, "Hey, are we doing pictures today?" And Olandria will say no. So Nick becomes the vocal one setting that boundary with fans. They've agreed on this together, and they stick to it. They do mental health check-ins with each other. They remind each other about the boundaries they agreed to maintain. When one of them is feeling overwhelmed, the other one steps in. That's real partnership stuff. Communication, mutual respect, protecting each other's peace. Nick admitted in the interview that navigating the damned, if you do, damned if you don't, reality of sharing their relationship for monetary gain while protecting what's actually real between them has been hard. But listen to how self-aware that statement is. He's not denying the financial component of being an influencer couple. That would be dishonest. Of course, there's money involved. That's literally the business they're in now. But he's acknowledging the real challenge of maintaining boundaries, of figuring out what to share and what to keep private, of balancing their work with their actual relationship. He said they struggled with it in the beginning, but now they feel like they've got a better grip on it. That's growth. That's two people learning together how to navigate an unusual situation. And here's what really got me. Olandria said during the Love Island finale, "I really think the foundation to a great relationship is always friendship. When there is no expectations and no pressure, just two individuals learning each other over time." That's not someone faking a relationship for fame. That's someone being genuinely thoughtful about how healthy relationships actually develop in real life. Not every couple has instant explosive chemistry. Some of the strongest, most lasting relationships start exactly how Nick and Olandria's did, with friendship, with respect, with a gradually building connection that deepens over time. That might not make for the most dramatic television, but it makes for sustainable real life. Now let's talk about what's happening with their individual careers, because this is where you really see the strength of their relationship. They're not just existing as a couple, they're both thriving separately while supporting each other. Olandria has absolutely blown up in the fashion world, and I'm not talking about typical influencer brand deals. I'm talking about legitimate fashion industry recognition. She walked runways at New York Fashion Week. She attended major shows including Off-White, Alexander Wang, and Theopilio. These aren't small names. These are major fashion houses, and Olandria is getting invited not as a reality TV novelty, but as someone the fashion world is taking seriously. Vogue, actual Vogue, recognized her as one of the best beauty looks at the 2025 MTV VMAs. She attended the CFDA Fashion Awards, which is the Council of Fashion Designers of America, one of the biggest nights in American fashion. She wore a custom Brandon Blackwood dress, and Marie Claire declared it one of the best looks of the night. She won the Ebony People's Choice Award at the 2025 Ebony Power 100 Gala. She was named to the Route 100 list of most influential Black leaders. Cosmopolitan honored her as part of their Czars class of 2025. Adweek praised her for taking a deliberate approach to transforming momentary fame into a sustainable personal brand and named her one of the top 5 breakout creators of 2025. That's not reality TV fame. That's legitimate cultural impact. Those kinds of honors don't come from being in a fake relationship for clout. They come from being strategic, thoughtful, talented, and genuinely good at what you do. And through all of this, through every runway, every award, every magazine feature, Nick has been right there, not overshadowing her, not trying to make it about him, but genuinely supporting her and celebrating her wins. He shows up to her events. He posts about her accomplishments. He hypes her up on social media. He's proud of her success. That matters. A lot of men, especially in situations where their partner becomes more famous or successful than them, get insecure. They feel threatened, they try to compete, or they pull away. Nick hasn't done any of that. He's been her biggest cheerleader while building his own path. Nick's been pursuing his own goals, too. He's been building his brand as a DJ. In the Glamour interview, he mentioned he has 5 or 6 DJ sets booked for next year. He's taking his music seriously, developing his skills, creating his own identity separate from being Olandria's boyfriend. And Olandria has been supporting his musical ambitions just like he supports her fashion career. She shows up for his sets. She promotes his work. She encourages him to pursue what he's passionate about. That's the kind of mutual support that real couples provide for each other. This is relationship green flag behavior. Fake couples either do everything together to maintain the illusion of unity, or they completely avoid being seen together because the relationship doesn't actually exist outside of scheduled photo ops. Nick and Olandria do neither. They're together when it makes sense for them personally, not just for content. They're apart pursuing their own goals when that makes sense. They travel separately for work. They maintain their own individual identities and careers. And they're publicly supportive of each other throughout, not because they have to be for appearances, but because they genuinely want to see each other succeed. That's what a healthy relationship in the public eye actually looks like. Not perfect, not without challenges, but built on genuine mutual respect and support. Let's zoom out for a second and talk about what Nick and Olandria actually represent, because this goes beyond just whether one couple is real or fake. CNN called them a beloved part of reality couple history and noted them as a cultural phenomenon. Those are significant words. Love Island couples come and go every season. Most of them break up within months and fade into obscurity. For CNN to call Nick and Olandria a cultural phenomenon, that means they've transcended typical reality TV fame. Olandria, as a Black woman from Alabama who attended an HBCU, represents a demographic that doesn't often get to be the fan-favorite romantic lead in these shows. Think about the history of Love Island, of The Bachelor, of most mainstream reality dating shows. How often do Black women, especially dark-skinned Black women, get to be the beloved favorite? How often do they get the fairy tale edit, the overwhelming public support, the fashion opportunities? Not often enough. That's changing slowly, but representation still matters. The fact that Olandria has been embraced so thoroughly by the fan base, that she's securing major fashion opportunities, that she's being recognized by publications like The Root and Ebony, this all matters for representation. It matters for young Black women watching who want to see themselves in these spaces. It matters for the culture. And Nick has shown what it looks like to genuinely support and uplift your partner's success without feeling threatened by it. As a white man in an interracial relationship with a Black woman who's become arguably more famous and successful than him post-show, he could have easily felt insecure. He could have made it about him. He could have tried to compete for attention. Instead, he's been her biggest supporter while building his own path. That's the kind of partnership that people want to see. Not performative allyship, but genuine mutual respect and support. Nick doesn't get extra credit for supporting his girlfriend, that's what he should do, but in a world where a lot of men can't handle their partners outshining them, it's worth acknowledging when someone gets it right. So, what did Nick and Olandria do differently? Why did their relationship survive when so many others from their season didn't? First, they started as friends. There was no pressure to immediately be this explosive romantic couple for the cameras. They built a foundation slowly, getting to know each other, figuring out if they actually liked each other beyond physical attraction. That friendship-first approach might not have made for the most dramatic television, but it created something stable enough to last beyond the show. Second, they set boundaries early and stuck to them. When Olandria realized the mental toll of constant public access, she pulled back. She stopped reading comments. She took time before even getting management. She didn't jump into the influencer life immediately just because everyone expected her to. When they decided they needed mental health check-ins with each other, they implemented them and actually followed through. When they needed privacy, they took it, even when fans complained about not seeing enough content. Olandria literally said in an interview, "People will say I don't post enough and I don't care to." That's someone who knows exactly who they are and refuses to perform for validation. She's not going to change her boundaries just because strangers on the internet want more access to her life. Third, they didn't let other people's opinions dictate their relationship. Despite all the doubt, all the questioning, all the Reddit threads analyzing their body language, all the social media discourse about whether they were real, they stayed focused on what was actually happening between them. They didn't try to prove anything to anyone. They just lived their lives and built their relationship. Fourth, they supported each other's individual growth. This is huge, and it's where so many reality TV couples fail. They get trapped in the couple identity. They become Nick and Olandria and forget how to be Nick and Olandria as individuals. They lose themselves trying to maintain this perfect couple image for the public. Nick and Olandria didn't do that. They made space for each other to pursue separate goals. They encouraged each other's individual ambitions. They maintained their own identities while building something together. That takes security in yourself and trust in your partner. And fifth, they were honest about the challenges. They didn't pretend everything was perfect. They acknowledged the mental toll of fame. They talked about the difficulty of balancing privacy with their new careers as influencers. They admitted the struggle of maintaining a long-distance relationship while both traveling constantly for work. That authenticity resonated with people. Fans could tell this was real because real relationships have challenges. Perfect couples don't exist. The fact that Nick and Olandria were willing to be honest about their struggles made them more believable, not less. They're still together. Not just together, but thriving. Landing magazine covers, supporting each other's individual successes, setting healthy boundaries, doing the work to maintain a long-distance relationship while both building careers, genuinely seeming happy and stable. What do you think? Were you a believer from the start? Or did you have doubts about Nick and Olandria? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear where y'all stand on this. And if you want more Love Island tea, more reality TV breakdowns, more receipts and drama from all your favorite shows, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. I'll see you in the next one.